Revive FM 94.0.
Reviving communities.
The views expressed on this program do not necessarily represent those of Revive FM or its management.
This is welcome to Revive FM 94.0 on your FM dial with me, Ali Kamara, the Muslim poet, for the Arts and Entertainment Show. Today we have a special guest on the show. We have Nazira Bemath on the show today. Nazira, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm really well, actually, on this fine foggy morning.
Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
You're looking well, by the way.
Thank you. I've been looking after myself over the whole pandemic. I know a lot of people have put on weight, but I've gone the opposite way, actually.
It's true, they have, to be honest with you. It's been quite difficult for people. It's been very difficult for their mental health and stuff like that,
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, Nazira, we're here to talk about your work in PR. You're known as the PR queen in the Asian community. You're known as the PR queen in those circles there. Tell us about your career. I know you started your career in 1996. Tell the viewers a bit about that.
Okay, so it's not something that as a child, I was a very kind of dramatic, person. Loved the arts, loved drama, always at the center of stage when I was in school plays and all the rest of it. And I wanted to be a children's TV presenter when I was younger. Philip Schofield, believe it or not, was my kind of idol as a child. But I went to uni. I did my GCSEs, I did my A-levels, and I went to uni. And unfortunately, I realised after a year that uni wasn't for me. Right. And I was in Leicester, De Montfort. So I did a year and I came back home. And I was at a bit of a loss, really. I was thinking, God, what am I going to do for myself? My mum was just looking at me like, you've dropped out of uni. Where do you go from here? Yeah. And so my kind of love affair with charity actually started there. And I started to work with a intergenerational charity called Magic Me, which and they actually trained me to be a drama workshop leader, because the work they did was all about linking young and old people together through arts activities. Right. And they could see that my strength really kind of laid in drama and kind of being very theatrical. Right. So I was trained on the job. And there I had my kind of qualification, if you want, to be a drama workshop leader. Yeah. And I did that kind of as a freelancer for a number of years.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I mean, you would never think about putting a bunch of school children of primary age into an old people's residential home or day centre and linking them together, and then doing drama, dance even, arts and crafts. We even did carnival together, made costumes. It was amazing. It was so amazing. And the joy it brought to both groups was unbelievable. For a lot of those kids, they didn't have grandparents, because I worked in Tower Hamlets. Right, okay. So a lot of their grandparents were maybe abroad, or they just didn't have grandparents. Yeah. So when they used to go into these residential homes with old people, it almost became like a grandparent. And the same for the old person. They would see these children as their grandchildren, and they created this beautiful friendship relationship, which they really looked forward to seeing each other on a weekly basis. And we would do this for a whole term. Yeah. And it was just such a rewarding job, to see the difference in both groups. And it's still running, it's
still running up to today?
Yeah, it was actually an idea from America. It's called Magic Me. It's an amazing charity. Their work is amazing. So there I am kind of with this qualification as a drama workshop leader. But obviously, you can't I was living kind of hand to mouth like that, really, as a freelancer. Right. And I was thinking I need to get into something else.
But that's where it all started for you, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. So I literally then, an opportunity arose through a friend to go have an interview at that time, Planet 24, which is...
was that the Big Breakfast, right?
That was the Big Breakfast, yes. So if anyone who remembers the Big Breakfast...
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be of a certain age to remember the Big Breakfast, which was an amazing, wacky...
Was Johnny Vaughan on it?
Johnny
Vaughan,
yes. So when Denise Van Outen,
that's it, Denise
even
Van Outen,
Paulie Yates back in the day, and Chris Evans, Gabby Roslin, I mean, I basically got an opportunity to do back in those days, like an apprenticeship, I guess it would have been. And I went in and I was completely I was really scared, actually, because it was very cliquey. Right. I was actually the only Asian female in that building.
Was you thinking, how am I going to fit in here?
Well, do you know what? I never had those hang-ups.
Or was you just like, I'm just going to go and do my thing?
I never had those hang-ups, and I never really thought about it, but it was noticeable. You know, in hindsight as well, and I think about it, I really was the only Asian.
But if you have those hang-ups sometimes, it can make it more difficult. You just got to go with it.
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm that kind of person. I try not to think about those things when it comes to like colour and religion and all.
Just walk in there and do what you got to do.
Just got, I'll prove myself. Exactly. And they put me in what they call Planet 24 Radio. So Planet 24 being the kind of the production house. Yeah. And I went and worked on their radio kind of branch of Planet 24, even though I used to get pulled in to do a bit of Big Breakfast stuff here and there. I started on their radio side, and I was being commissioned by Radio 1 to do documentaries.
Fantastic.
And when you're that age, it was in my early 20s, they used to get you to do all the donkey work, basically. Do all your transcribing.
You're learning your trade.
Yeah, but you're learning your trade. Exactly. And my boss at the time was he was a bit all over the place. And I remember him one day saying to me, look, I'm not coming in. He called up the office. He goes, I'm not coming in. I need you to come down to my flat, get a cab and pick up some stuff off me. You've got to go down to Top of the Pops and you've got to go and interview.
Top of the Pops?
Yeah.
Wow.
Robbie Williams, Billy Piper. I think there was a one-hit wonder guy called
I remember
Kamara.
Billy Piper. I used to be a fan, to be honest with you.
But there was quite a lot of, so a lot of these one-hit wonders within that. And I was like, I can't do that. I said, I don't do that. And he goes, well, I can't do it, and you've got to do it. You've got no choice.
So you was thrown in at the deep end, basically.
I was thrown in at the deep end. And I've got to say, it was probably the making of me. There I was, this kind of young 22, maybe 20, about 22-year-old. I get in a cab and they drive me to Wood Lane to Top of the Pops. And Robbie Williams is sitting there. And I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, hi, how you doing? And I was like, I'm here to interview you about rock parties. And I think I must have said so many other things that I had verbal diarrhea basically that day. But literally, I actually got this whole interview done with Billy Piper, with Robbie Williams, with Kamara, with all these pop stars.
Fantastic.
And it was amazing. And I think...
And it wasn't as hard as what you thought it was going to be, was it?
No. So I'd kind of written out the questions for my boss. So I had done all the work. But he just said, I can't do it. I'm not well. You're going, you do it. But like I said, I think it was probably the making of me, because after I'd got over that and I came back to the office and I had to transcribe all the interviews, and then, the editing guy did all the, putting of it together. And then that was commissioned by Radio 1 and it went on, so that it was just an amazing experience, and things that you just don't think you'll ever get, those kind of opportunities. But I did that for about, about a year.
But you also went on to teach drama at the Theatre Royal?
So what I did from there was, even though I was kind of working at Planet 24, I was one of these people that I just had to do so many things.
Yeah, you had to put your fingers in different pies at the same time.
So with my drama kind of qualification that I had, in the meantime, I also got to run 2 workshops. So I was doing 2 workshops, first of all, the Half Moon Young People's Theatre, which is in Limehouse in Tower Hamlets. And I had my own group called the Golden Girls. Not the programme, if you remember that as well.
I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Ages telling now.
Yeah, exactly. So the Golden Girls was a young girls group that was 5 to 15-year-olds. And to be honest, when I think back to it, I laugh about it, because it was for children whose parents were really pushy and who wanted their kids to go into like drama school. And so my classes were after school, and they used to come in, and the parents always used to come up to me and say, you've really got to push her. We're trying to get her into RADA or to Brit School or
Sylvia Young
and all those kind of things. And so I was that, that tutor that used to give the kids, they'd have fun with me. It was a good old crack, as they say. And I did that for about 2.5 years, but in between that as well, just to add more, I also worked at the Royal Court Young People's Theatre, which is in Ladbroke Grove. And I did lots of summer projects with them, actually. So for dysfunctional kind of, I guess kids from dysfunctional backgrounds. Back in those days, that's what they used to call it. And it was for kids who would never get those opportunities.
No, what do they call it? ADHD?
Well, they weren't ADHD. They were just children whose parents were they were living under the poverty line, actually. And their parents wouldn't be able to afford to send them to extracurricular stuff. So they used to get funding, and we used to run these workshops over the summer, over the winter. So those children could have those opportunities to do drama, and to
get involved with something in their community that would benefit them.
Absolutely. And at the end, and then the end result would be a nice big show or a play at the end, and they would choose the subject, and we'd always choose something that was a little bit different, you know. So the girls, I used to have a lot of black girls who used to work with me, and they used to like to choose really controversial subjects. One of them was about light-skinned girls one year, I remember. And that was really interesting. It opened my eyes so much, because I didn't realize it happened so much in that community as well. But this was obviously, you got to remember, I was a lot younger then. Obviously, since then I realized, but back then I didn't realize how much of an issue it was. And so,
well, I mean, I think it has been an issue for back in the day where light skin was more acceptable than the dark skin, whether it be with the girls or with the boys. I mean, me growing up, it was always the light skinned guys that would get the girls.
That's right.
Now it's flipped the script. It's all the dark skinned guys again.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. It's quite funny, isn't it? So we actually tackled those issues around light-skinned girls and dark-skinned girls. And it was really interesting. And they did a lovely play at the end all about it. And I mean, I don't remember the ins and outs of it, but I just remember it. That was what it was about, you know, that kind of colorism and all that kind of thing. And
interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting, I have to say. But yeah, so I did that for a good couple of years after. And then I got into what is now my career, which is PR.
Yeah, I mean, you met a guy called Pedro.
Yes.
And from what I'd read about you, met a guy called Pedro, and he was the one that kind of introduced you into PR. Tell us about that.
So actually, no. So what the situation was this. So me being, like I said to you earlier, I was a freelancer. So I was doing all these different jobs. You know, Planet 24, teaching drama, But I think I'd got to a stage where I was like, God, I just want a job that's going to kind of be a 9 to 5.
That's going to cement you.
Yeah, cement me. I wanted to get onto the property ladder. There were so many things that I wanted to do, and I was finding it really hard.
And you didn't know that your path really lied in PR at that time.
Oh, I didn't even know what PR was, if I'm honest, right? So my best friend actually was working at this agency called Media Moguls. Yeah. And she said to me one day, look, it's quite a new company. They'd been running for a couple of years. Yeah. And she said, look, they've got a couple of jobs going. I think you should go for it. Yeah. And I said to her, I don't even know what PR is. What are you talking about? You're telling me to go for a job in PR. Yeah. She goes, no. It's not just PR. It's marketing. It's advertising. It's events. I said, yeah, it sounds interesting, but nah, that ain't my cup of tea. Yeah. But can you believe what happened? Her and my sister, they schemed behind my back. They got my CV. Wow. And they sent it off. And that is seriously, swear down, that is what happened.
They sent it off to the company?
Yeah, so she just took it into the company because she was obviously, my mate was already working there. Yeah. And they were like, oh yeah, get her in for an interview. Yeah. She sounds really interesting. So next thing you know, I'm getting this phone call saying, oh yes, we've got your CV. We'd like to invite you to an interview. And I was like, sorry? And I remember my sister was there. She's like, just go. Like she was like mouthing to me, just go. And I was like, oh, okay, when do you want me to come in and stuff? So anyway, I go to this interview and there is Pedro there. So this is where I meet Pedro. Right. Pedro, Raj and Anjana. So Raj and Anjana are a married couple and Pedro. So they're the three directors of the company. I was so nervous. I had no idea what this company was about, really. My friend had tried to explain to me and I just didn't know what she was talking about. You didn't have a clue. I just didn't know. I was like, I don't know what that is. What is PR? What is marketing? I didn't really know. So there I am at this interview and I'm being grilled by 3 people. Yeah. And they're asking me all these questions. And I kid you not, it was like I just talked my way through that interview. Would you believe it?
Did you blag your way through it? Or?
I literally blagged and talked, and they actually said to me it was over an hour.
That's PR, though, isn't it? You've got to blag your way into places.
So this is exactly what they said. And at the end of the interview, they looked at me and they said, "We never do this." Yeah. And I looked at them and I went, "Well, what's happened?" And they were like, "You've got the job." And I went, "What?" And I was just like, "Are you serious?" And they were like, "When can you start?" And it was.
Do you know what it was? You spoke. They liked your personality. They liked what they liked about you. They liked your aura, and they was like, "You've got the job." Absolutely.
Well, clearly, I mean, and that is where the love affair of PR and kind of working for a full service agency began in 1998, I think it was. 99. And that's where it started. But what became very apparent very early on with me working in that industry was that my strength was PR, even though I did a bit of everything. Obviously, events we all used to get involved in, but the marketing side and advertising side wasn't really my cup of tea.
PR was you.
PR was me. And that's where Pedro took me under his wing because he was head of PR.
Yeah. I was reading that you worked with in a company with him for a week, and you'd all left after a week, and you went to set up your own PR company.
No, so what it was, we actually worked there.
Yeah.
I worked at Media Moguls for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So from 1998 or 99, whenever it was, till 2002.
Yeah.
We obviously Pedro had been there from day dot.
Yeah.
I'd started to realise that I need to move on. You know, it'd been 4.5 years, and actually I started to get bored. You know, come on, you're in a job for that long, you need to move on at some point.
Yeah. Some people don't know.
Yeah, but some people
They'll be
don't
there for 20 years.
That's right. But some people don't like change.
There's
a lot of people that don't like, and I've actually come to realise that a lot in my adult years, how many people do not like change.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they're scared of change?
I think people are scared of change. People like the stability.
Yeah.
And I think people just get very complacent in their lives.
But I've realised with change, there's a lot more opportunities out there when you make that change.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was, you know, before I'd made that decision to leave, I was like, what am I going to do with myself?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember going to see Pedro and saying, Ped, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and he goes, what do you need to speak to me about? And I said, I'm resigning. And I pulled out my letter and he just looked at me and he went, well, I'm joining you. And he literally pulled his letter out as well.
Wow.
And I was like, what? You are a director here. He said, Naz, I've had enough. I've had enough as well. And as a director, you know, he had his own issues.
Time to go.
There. For him, you know, there was other issues with him and the other guys and stuff. And so he was getting sick and he was like, listen, I need to leave. I need to get out of this place.
Mm-hmm.
So we literally left within a week of each other.
Yeah.
And at that point, we met up outside and said, look, Naz, we've got a great skill set together. We've always worked brilliantly together. And it's always been us two. Even at Media Moguls, it was always me and him.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's set up our own PR agency. And I was like, it was a really big decision to make. And obviously a really scary one.
Massive one, yeah.
Because I was like, who's going to come to us? Yeah. But believe it or not, Ali, everybody that was our client in terms of our PR
followed you guys,
followed us. And that was people like Jay Sean back in the day, the artist.
I remember him. Yeah, he's in LA now, isn't he?
New York, I believe. LA, New York, whatever. But so Jay Sean was one of our first clients to come with us, as did a lot of the other music clients. And then we had government campaigns and that. They were like, look, guys, you do our PR. So we're coming with you, you know. And I didn't, you know, we felt bad because obviously there was a lot of animosity at that point with our former, you know, kind of company. But it happens, doesn't it? That's what happens when you
sure does.
You know, when you leave somewhere, they're not going to be happy, especially if some of the clients leave with you, you know. And so here we are. We set up ethnic PR, as what we were called, FNIK.
Okay.
So as in ethnic, but spelt with an F.
Ethnic PR.
Yeah, ethnic PR. And we did that, and we were very successful for the first 2 years.
Brilliant.
You know, and it was amazing. And that's when
Amazing. Naz, hold that thought. We're going to go to a break. Brothers and sisters, we're here on Revive FM 94.1 on your FM dial. Me, Kamara, also about poet, arts and entertainment show. We've got Nazira Bemath in the studio today talking about PR and the life in PR.
क्या आपको मालूम है कि नूरा जैसी बच्चियां पानी के लिए रोजाना 3 मील पैदल सफर तय करती हैं। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को यकीन है कि आप छोटे और बड़े पैमाने पर पानी के मंसूबे लगाकर इस बहरान को खत्म कर सकते हैं। आपके एहतियात दुनिया भर के पसमानदा लोगों का म्यार जिंदगी बेहतर बना रहे हैं, जबकि अभी बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है। पानी सबके लिए के प्रोजेक्ट में हमारी मदद कीजिए। आज ही अतिया कीजिए या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious, and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep using hand sanitizer in shops, keep wearing our face coverings on the bus, keep making space at the school gates. And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
People of Asian and Black ethnic origin are at an increased risk of COVID-19. Queen Mary University London has launched a research study called Covidence UK to find out why this is. If you are Black or Asian, we need your help to complete our studies. All you need to do is complete an online survey. Please help us to understand the coronavirus disease so we can develop tools to prevent it. Sign up at qmul.ac.uk/Covidence. Sign up and save lives.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
If you're looking for a unique bespoke cake made especially for your big day, then look no further. Here at Sugar Sprinkle Cakery, we design some of the most imaginative and delicious home-baked cakes for your special occasions. We do fresh cream, buttercream, eggless and vegan cakes. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook at Sugar Sprinkle Cakery, or just call 07932 665 833. That's 07932 665 833.
London is now in Tier 2 and on high alert. To help stop the spread of coronavirus, households must not mix indoors. Only meet people outdoors in groups of up to 6. You must work from home if possible, and reduce the number of journeys you make. For further details, go to gov.uk/coronavirus. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
With over 40 years experience in the industry, Plastic Carpets is the place to go for all of your carpets, laminates, linos and wood flooring. We have an established network of suppliers, which means we can offer some of the best prices in town. We offer free estimates and now even free fitting. Call us now on 0208 472 8568 or visit us at 157 to 159 Plashet Road, Upton Park, London E13 0QZ.
ReviveFM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile,
and online.
Sisters, we're back after the break. We've got Nazira Bemath in the studio talking to us about her life in PR in the UK. Nazira, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really well.
Welcome,
Glad to be here.
Welcome back after the break.
Thank you. It's been great.
Pleasure having you. So tell us about how you said you started your PR agency after 13 years. You was out of the game and you got back into it. That was after you'd set up the company Pedro. You was telling us about the company that you set up with Pedro.
So what happened was me and Pedro set up Ethnic PR in 2002, and then lo and behold, 2004. I got married in 2003, and then in 2004 I had my first child. And obviously with a lot of women, it happens that you kind of, you have a career break or you just give up work or whatever for whatever reason. Because obviously you become a mother, and the idea is obviously to be at home with your child. Of course, And obviously even for me, somebody who is actually, I didn't think I was overly maternal, actually, if I'm going to be completely honest. Right. But obviously I wanted to be at home. He was my first child and I wanted to be at home. And I turned around and said to Pedro, look, I'm going to take some time out and is that okay? And I don't want to leave you in the lurch. And he was like, Naz, he was amazing. He said, Naz, you've had a baby. Of course it's okay. Do what you've got. And he literally said to me, do what you want to do. There is no pressure here. If you want to leave, you leave. If you want to come back, the door's open. So he kind of left it like that with me. And there I am, with the newborn, and I'm at home, and I start to get itchy feet. And
after how many years was that? Or was that?
No, literally, I had my baby. And And I'm literally like, I was, it's quite weird actually. I think all my skill sets and stuff, I was actually quite an organized mum, even though I thought I wasn't that maternal. I thought to myself, do you know what? I love being a mum, actually. This is great fun, but I can do a lot of stuff. I wasn't that kind of mum that would kind of wake up at like, obviously you get up in the middle of the night, you're feeding your baby and all those kind of things. But I was up really early, out of the house with my son, taking him on walks. I was one of those kind of mums, get up and go. So I thought to myself, and he was such a good baby, actually. I was so blessed.
It wasn't like me when I was a baby.
No, Rayan was a good boy. He was such a good boy. And he was the kind of baby you could sit him down and I could actually cook a meal. I could even have a shower and I'd come back and he'd still be sitting in his pen just playing.
Oh, bless him.
He was just I was just blessed.
Yeah, some kids are like that.
He was just a very very sweet natured, very easygoing child.
Uh-huh.
And then my hubby had a business, and it just started to kind of naturally happen that I started helping him. And he was working obviously with supplies and stuff in China, and he had like a wholesale business. So I naturally just started to help him, because obviously that's what wives do, right? So I started to help him, and it started to become very apparent that actually I should help him a bit more because he really needs my help. And so I just started getting involved in his business more and more and more. Few years down the line, so we had this wholesale business. We were doing belt buckles, we were doing like all fashion accessories and all that. And we had a website, and it got really busy. We employed people. I was dealing with suppliers. My hubby was going off to China. And then it came to a bit of a crunch where you could see the belt buckle game was kind of going downhill. And my hubby was like, we need to create something of our own. Like we need to have our own brand.
I was just going to say that. It's the words clean up my mouth.
And I said, okay, so what do we do? So we actually went off to Las Vegas, believe it or not.
Vegas?
We went to Vegas, baby. And we went to Vegas to get inspired, believe it or not. There's a very big trade show out there called Magic. And we decided to go out there to go and see what this trade show was all about, because we'd heard so many things about it. They said, if you want to get ideas, although China is the place where people get everything from, the execution and the end product is always in America. So you need to go to America and you need to go and check out these trade shows because they're like no other. So there we are. I think it was in 2011 or 2010. I can't even remember. By this point, by the way, I'd just like to add, I'd had 3 children. So I'd bang them out, right? So I'd had,
I like you say it like you've done it all by yourself.
So I literally had 3 children in 4 years. So I had my 3 kids, and if it wasn't for my mum and dad at the time really supporting us,
would have been very difficult.
It would have been very difficult, and I owe them everything, in that respect.
Fantastic.
So there we are in Vegas. We go to this show and we go for a whole week, and we spend a week in Vegas. I kid you not. And it was like the best week I'd ever had. Because I tell you what, look, we don't drink, we don't gamble. But I tell you something, Vegas is that place. It doesn't matter if you don't do those things. Everyone just seems to think that's what it's about.
There's so more to it than that, right?
There is so much to do in Vegas. And it was just a complete eye-opener.
Some people do nutty ones and just go there and get married in like an Elvis suit.
And
stuff like that.
Well, that's what it's known for, isn't it?
Yeah, dressed up like Bob Marley or something like that.
Absolutely. You elope and you go to Vegas.
And then they get divorced after 24 hours.
Exactly. Britney Spears did that, didn't she?
Yeah.
So literally, we go to Vegas, we come back. But we'd been inspired by things we'd seen.
Yeah.
But then my hubby just went, I tell you what, we're going to do a backpack brand. Now, I don't know where that came from because I'm sure we saw backpacks out there, but not enough to inspire us in that way. But he said to me, I think that's what we're going to do. And I went, a backpack brand? What are you talking about? And he said, but really wacky designs and something really different. Because like I said, the inspiration was there, but he knew what he was thinking, but he was trying to like explain it to me. And at the end, he just started to do some drawings and he's like, like this and like this.
Did you get it after a while?
Yeah, literally. And so seriously, we set up Urban Junk UK, which was a backpack brand. And they were really wacky backpacks. And then we literally got a designer. We sat with our designer. We explained everything we wanted because I couldn't design. I couldn't draw. I couldn't, we both knew what we wanted.
Can you draw?
No.
I can't draw.
I'm
Save my life.
I am rubbish. I was the worst at art at school. So like I said, we all have a creative kind of strand. My creativity was music and drama and dance, not the artsy what is it called? It's CDT back in the day.
I can't even draw a dog.
I can't exactly. So we sat with our designer and said, this is our vision, this is what we want, and he basically made it come alive and created it for us on paper, as it were.
Fantastic.
And literally, I kid you not, my hubby went out to China, had no idea what he was doing in terms of looking for a manufacturer to help us create these backpacks. And it was all just, seriously, Ali, I can't even explain this to you. This is no word
off
for
the
life.
cuff, spontaneous.
Literally, he went out there, found an agent. Obviously, you needed, back in those days, their English was very bad in China. Now it's completely different. But in those days, they, to find somebody who could speak good English was very difficult. But, he got allocated this agent who then she was like a ruby in the dust, as they say. She was great. And she helped my husband, no end, to find a manufacturer, to find a bag manufacturer, and to make our dream come true.
Wow.
But what happened in that is that the other flip side to that story is that when my hubby met this factory, he introduced, obviously, Vivian, our agent, to the guy and my husband said to her, this guy is for you, the guy who owns the factory. And you know what? They got married.
No way.
I swear to God, they got married, and they have got a massive business now. And she always turns around and says to my hubby, that was because of you as well. Because if we'd never met, I would never have met my husband. And, so it works both ways. And she's been
That's amazing. That's a fairy tale kind of thing, isn't it?
It was, I'm telling you.
It's one in a million, because you don't know that these kind of things are going to happen. Especially
and Vivian,
you being abroad and them being in China.
But I tell you something as well. What was the lovely part of this story was that Vivian was, generally when they have the agents, even though they're kind of educated, they come from very poor backgrounds as well. Yeah. And, people are paying them like £5 to £6 a day to be agents, nothing. And I have to say, she's actually a millionaire now. Yes, she is a millionaire now because of her business with her hubby. They've gone to the next level.
Brilliant.
I kid you not. This is. Are
they still? They're still the same
together.
People.
They are.
Are they still down to earth?
I'm telling you.
Are they still in touch with you?
Vivian is still very much in touch with us.
Amazing.
And
amazing.
It's a
That's all I can say, because sometimes when people get a couple of quid,
oh, absolutely, they forget.
Their head goes.
Absolutely, but
their attitude goes.
Yeah.
And they be like, I don't want to know nobody. And
put it this way. Ali,
buy this big mansion.
I mean, it's
gated off.
I know, no, you're right. And should I tell you how much I realized this is when I went to China in 2016, and I actually went to do a shop for my house. I went and got everything for my house in China. And can you believe this? She said, "You are my guest." This is what she said to us. So when she said that, I didn't know what she meant. When we got off the plane, she paid for our hotel. She took us out for dinner all the time. I mean, this woman, this is a woman who couldn't even rub two pennies together before. And this is what she did for us. And it was just amazing.
She's like, some people, they know who their people are.
That's right. She was so grateful,
and it's not about the money. It's about the gratitude.
The gratitude, 100%.
And some people don't know gratitude.
Yeah. And she really does. This woman, yeah, 100%. You
could slap them in the face, they still wouldn't know gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude could knock them on the door and they still wouldn't know gratitude.
Absolutely. But this lady does and did, and she's doing really well, and their business has become a huge multi-million kind of pound business.
We wish them all the best.
Absolutely.
And it's so great that the fact that they're still in touch with you.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my hubby talks to her all the time, even though. So just coming back to that, we created Urban Junk, and we had a very, very successful run with it actually. And I think all my skills, as they say, transferable skills from doing PR and doing, being around children and being in drama and all those kind of creativity that I had, it all just kind of transferred into me creating my brand. Right. And I had no idea, if I'm honest, I had no idea about freight, about dealing with, big stores, because ultimately this is what we started to do. We started to sell into ASOS, River Island, Selfridges, all really big stores back in those days. And I think what I realized about creating my own brand is that when I went into these meetings with these buyers, I realized quite early on, they're buying into you. Yeah. They're buying your brand, obviously. They have to like your brand. Yeah. But it's really about you. Yeah. And if they like you,
if they click with you, it's going to happen.
Half the job is done. Yeah. And my hubby used to always push me to the forefront. Yeah. Yeah, you go, Naz.
Wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. You go.
The funny thing is, if somebody says this to me once, if people like you, you can actually work with them.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because it's actually a feel-good factor for them, the fact that they like you as an individual. And if you have the other skill qualities to go with it, then
makes it so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it a whole lot easier. And especially if you're polite as well and you've got good manners.
Yeah, absolutely. That goes a very long way.
It goes a very long way.
And we ended up getting distributors in Italy, in the Benelux, in Spain, in America. We had a partner in America and in Australia. So the brand was very successful. But then came change.
Right.
The beginning of 2017. Things had started to decline prior to that.
Right.
And we all know why in terms of retail. Yeah. the forces of Primark came in and throwaway fashion, and people like Boohoo and Misguide, all these kind of throwaway, what they call throwaway fashion, started to come into play. So all of the bigger stores, like the Top Shops, the River Islands, they had to up their game.
They were struggling.
Yeah,
they were competing.
Absolutely. And then online became so much stronger. And I could see the decline. And I remember my hubby saying to me, don't get emotional about business, Naz. If it's time to get out, it's time to get out. And I think that was the best bit of advice he ever gave me, because he was really sad about it, but I think he knew. And we both knew. And I started to really lose passion because, you'd get on a phone call with your buyers, and the numbers were going down every time you spoke to them. I can't take as much as that this time, Naz. I mean, we were selling online ourselves, and we had our own retail platform. And we became a back to school product. So our brand was very seasonal as well. So you had to try and make your money when you made your money. And trust me, we had a good run, Ali. We had a very good run, and I can't complain. But when it's time to get out,
it's time to get out.
And I didn't get emotional, actually.
Because what happens with some people is they don't realize it's time to get out, and then they go bankrupt.
Well, this is exactly. Now, I had a lot of people say to me, why didn't you sell the brand? Do you know what? I just thought it was just too much hassle. I just didn't. I know it sounds weird, and I just wanted to let go of it, and I just couldn't be bothered.
Do you think you could have? Do you think you could have sold it?
Probably with a bit of, a bit more of a push, and maybe, I think I probably could have, because we had really big groups. There was a big group called Pelham who were in luggage and handbags and all that stuff, and they wanted to actually take over our brand, and we said no. And this was in the earlier days. Do I kick myself over that? A little bit, yeah.
I knew he was going to say a little bit.
I didn't realize how big they were. These are the people that own. They own concessions in Gatwick Airport.
Yeah, they're pretty massive, aren't they, Pelham?
Yeah, and they're big. And I just didn't. I think I was too new to the industry that I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, as they say, and
you win some,
you lose some.
You lose some.
But I don't feel like I lost. I just felt like that was the way it was meant to go, and I believe in that very much, live by that. If things are not meant to be, they're not. And if they
if it wasn't meant to be, then it wasn't meant to be. There's not really a lot you could do about that, really.
Exactly. So and then the tail end of 2017, I shut up shop. I sold off all the whatever remaining stock I had to TK Maxx.
No way.
Yes. So I had some leftover stock. I sold it to them. They took it all off me, and I had a clean slate. And I was at a crossroads again in my life.
In terms of what you was going to do next.
Yeah, because obviously now my kids are a little bit older. They're still young, but they're older.
Yeah.
Where am I going to go? What am I going to do?
How old are they?
So now they're 16, 14 and 13.
Oh,
so three teenagers,
ages.
as it were.
Fantastic.
But they're very independent kids. Me and my hubby have brought them up to be very independent. And
Fantastic.
like I said to you, they've all got their own things that they're into as well. And I really encourage that as a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you push them into things like? Would you push them into stuff like PR and drama and stuff like that? Have they got any of your traits? Is that something you'd like to talk about?
100% they have. So how funny you're asking me. So all three of my children.
Let's hold that thought. We're going to go to a break, and we'll be back after the break. You're on ReviveFM 94 on your FM dial. Come on, Austin Pert. We've got Nazira Bemath in the studio.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough, or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
Turkish Kitchen, the best Turkish food you'll ever taste. We only use the highest quality meat. Along with our mixed grill platters, we serve cold mezes, hot mezes, lahmacun, and a wide selection of fish options. To order for delivery or collection, call us now on 0208 507 8822. That's 0208 507 8822. Or visit us at 41 Ripple Road, Barking, IG11 7NT. We can also take group bookings and take care of all your party needs. The Turkish Kitchen, Barking.
London is now in Tier 2 and on high alert. To help stop the spread of coronavirus, households must not mix indoors. Only meet people outdoors in groups of up to 6. You must work from home if possible. and reduce the number of journeys you make. For further details, go to gov.uk/coronavirus. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
क्या आपको मालूम है कि नूरा जैसी बच्चियां पानी के लिए रोजाना 3 मील पैदल सफर तय करती हैं? मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को यकीन है कि आप छोटे और बड़े पैमाने पर पानी के मंसूबे लगाकर इस बहरान को खत्म कर सकते हैं। आपके एहतियात दुनिया भर के पसमानदा लोगों का म्यार जिंदगी बेहतर बना रहे हैं, जबकि अभी बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है। पानी सबके लिए के प्रोजेक्ट में हमारी मदद कीजिए। आज ही अतिया कीजिए या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org.
Minhaj School of Islamic Sciences provides quality Islamic education for children aged between 5 and 15 years old. As well as teaching classical Islam, including Tajweed, Fiqh, Seerah and Aqidah, we endeavour to equip children with essential Islamic manners, morals and values. Here at MSIS, our experienced teachers create an inspirational learning environment where we strive to cater for the needs of every child. For enrolment inquiries, inquire in person at Minhaj School of Islamic Sciences, Monday to Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. at 292-296 Rumford Road, or email admin.edu_London@minhajuk.org.
Businesses, time is running out. Starting on the 1st of Jan, anyone who deals with Europe will have to follow new rules on exports, imports, tariffs, data, and hiring. I know we've all got our hands full right now, but basically, if any part of your business crosses borders, you need to do something about it now. This is happening. So make sure you have everything covered. We haven't got long. Start now at gov.uk/transition. Check, change, go.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious, and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep using hand sanitizer in shops, keep wearing our face coverings on the bus, keep making space at the school gates. And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
ReviveFM
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online.
We're back after the break here on Revive FM 94.0 on your FM dial for the arts and entertainment show. We've got Nazira Bemath in the studio talking about her life in PR here in the UK and all the people that she's worked with. Nazira, so tell us about some of the charities that you've worked with and then influences that you've worked with in PR. Because I know you've worked with artists, you've worked with book PR people, you've worked with film PR people, you've worked with the richest Asians in Britain and stuff like that.
Sure.
You've done some serious bits.
Yeah, so my speciality in PR is like obviously working with the BAME community, as we call it now, Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, and getting BAME stories into the mainstream. That is where my kind of, if you want, my skill lies.
Right.
You know, people want to get into the mainstream who are of kind of BAME backgrounds. If their stories are, you know, they want to get those stories out there, they come to me. You know, I'd like to think after all these years, even though I had a bit of a break in PR, you know, my experience of 25 odd years, I've got those good connections and, you know, I deliver, you know. So I've worked with, over the years, we worked with all the British Asian stuff that came out of the UK, whether it was film like Bend It Like Beckham when it came out, things like Bollywood Dreams, which was Andrew Lloyd Webber theatre production that was on at the Apollo. So anything that was British Asian that came out in terms of film, theatre, media moguls back in the day, we would have been working on it because we were the go-to as an agency. We worked on government campaigns, so I worked on stuff like the South Asian organ donation campaign, and that was about raising awareness in organ donation. There was a lot of barriers to break there because obviously as a Muslim, that was our biggest thing there.
Taboo, right?
It's very taboo. And it was about talking to people about and educating people about organ donation. That was a hard one actually, because it's very
some people don't want to. I know what you're saying with
know.
the Muslim community when
they
it comes
won't
to
know. And we had to work with communities like in Bradford. Like you can imagine, Bradford, they're very up north. I hate to say it, but they're very different. And they're a bit insular. And, you know, you'd get us all these Londoners going up there to have like kind of forums and go into community groups to talk about organ donation.
Quite close knit.
Very close knit. And like I said, very insular. And so But this kind of work was very interesting, and it, for me, like I said, it opened my eyes up to so many different communities within my own communities.
Yeah.
So as you know, Ali, because you've met me, I'm actually of Mauritian background.
I know, but a lot of people don't know that.
Yes.
They actually think that you're. I bet you probably get Pakistani and Bengali a lot.
All the time. I mean, look, I look Asian. I'm of South Asian background. Obviously, my great-grandparents were from India. Therefore, I look South Asian. But actually, I don't speak a South Asian language. I actually speak Patois, Creole. I speak a French-based language. But actually, I was born and bred in Walthamstow.
Creole, and Sierra we speak Creole, but you speak the French Creole.
We speak the French Creole, So I grew up in Walthamstow, East London. So my mum actually speaks 7 languages fluently. And so I was brought up with a very big Pakistani community. And I'm very cultured as a person. Like, I know a bit about everything in terms of South Asian backgrounds, whether you're Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Indian, Sri Lankan, you name it. I kind of know a little bit about everything. Coming back to what we did, what I did in terms of clients, I worked with the Britain's Richest Asians, Gala Dinner. So, putting on massive events, Asian Women of Achievement, the Asian Awards, again, any of the awards that were celebrating South Asian or even Black talent, we were always involved in it. So, God, if I sat here and tried to remember every client I worked with.
Come on, pull some names out of the bag.
Oh, my God. I just can't even remember, Ali. I've worked with so many. Like I've already mentioned Jay Sean. I've worked with lots of artists. I actually worked with Britney Spears and Timbaland and Magoo, believe it or not.
What was you doing when you worked with them? What was the project?
Britney Spears did a Asian-inspired album with Timbaland and Magoo.
Okay.
So we worked on that. So I did a lot of music stuff back in the day. And
that was with Music Moguls, right?
Media
Did
Moguls.
you cross paths with people like Simon Cowell on that, or?
Actually, we crossed paths with people. You probably, I don't know if you'd know them. They used to work for Virgin EMI. And these were guys who were very big in the music
Dennis
industry.
Ingleby, people like that?
Like who?
Dennis Ingleby?
Nah.
He used to manage Michelle Gale, didn't he?
Ah, okay. No, I don't remember him, but there was Shabs. I just remember Shabs really well. He was an Asian guy, actually, who worked. He was there pushing South Asian artists within Virgin EMI. We used to work on with that branch of that kind of PR and stuff like that. So obviously it was all about pushing South Asian talent into the, whether it be music, whether it be film, whether it be, government campaigns, whatever it was, we did it. But there's just too many to remember, Ali. I just can't remember. Sometimes things will come out and then me and Pedro will go, oh my God, I worked with Shania Twain. There you go.
Oh, yeah, I remember. She's big.
She was massive back
then.
One
minute. Was she country and western?
So she was,
wasn't she?
She was really, but she had a crossover.
Yeah, that's right.
She was a huge
she was
global,
good though.
She was a global superstar.
She
was on the level of Celine Dion and that,
Canadian.
And she was big.
She was massive.
And she did an album with 2 producers called Simon and Diamond. And it was, again, Asian inspired.
Okay.
So I remember doing all the PR around that album. And do you remember back in the day, VH1?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so VH1, the music
channel. Is that dead now?
I think it is. I don't really know.
No.
So there was things like VH1, MTV, The Box, all those music channels were brilliant back in the day.
Yeah.
We did a whole day with Shania Twain at the, I think it was the Grosvenor Park Hotel or the Dorchester. And she was so nice. Bearing in mind, this woman was a global superstar.
She wasn't a diva or nothing like that.
Do you know what? I remember,
because some of them are divas,
let me tell you, I had all these Asian journalists lined up for her to interview her.
Yeah.
And she was doing something with VH1 as well.
Yeah.
And we'd had half a day, or it actually was a full day. What am I talking about? It was a full day of interviews with her.
Yeah.
And I remember having done the first lot of interviews, it was lunchtime, we had to break. And I went into the room and I was like, oh, sorry, Mrs. Twain. And she just looked at me and she said, don't call me that. You call me Shania. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she goes, you sit your butt down here and you have lunch with me.
Down to earth.
Yeah, very. And she had a baby at the time. Her son was only 18 months. And I remember her son is called Asia. And I just looked at her when she said that. I said, oh, what's his name? And she said, Asia.
You got a good memory.
Yeah, I have. I really have. And I said, why have you called him Asia? I remember asking her that. And she says, because I love India.
Wow.
And she does. She is completely obsessed with India. If you read up about her, and hence why she made this album that had it was Asian inspired.
Asian inspired, right.
So, we've done, and like I said, we worked.
Come on, you've done BBC Radio. You've done BBC Radio in London. You've got people on. You've got people on ITV.
Absolutely.
So
let's kind of fast forward. I mean, those were kind of older clients that I've worked with over the years, and now here I am, 2018. I was telling you that I gave up my brand, and Pedro was obviously still is still like my best mate. And he said to me, look, Naz, I'm global head of Penny Appeal, the charity.
Yeah.
I need some help with some PR. They need another person.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anyone better than do it than you. And I was like, Ped, I can't do that. I haven't done it for so many years. And he said, just give it a go.
Yeah.
So here I am, just kind of going back right into it. And I was again thrown in the deep end. And let's just say it just worked out. Within 3 months, they were like, who is this woman? She needs to stay on with us.
Because you know what you're doing.
Yes, I guess.
It's part of you.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? PR's part of
my
you.
DNA.
It seems like to me, putting things together is in your DNA. That's what you do. You get on the phone, you call this person, you call that person, and you just put it together and make it all happen. And that's what you do.
I'm the connector.
Yeah. After 13 years to come back into the game and be able to do it, that's who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. And I've accepted that now. I've started to be a bit more, I'll blow my own trumpet a little bit more. I was always very low key. I always have been. But actually, if you've done good things and your work kind of speaks for itself, why not shout out about it a bit? Of
course. Actions speak louder than words.
And I think it's not just about me wanting to blow my own trumpet. I want to encourage and inspire young Muslim girls, girls who are Asian, girls of color, whatever you want to say, or however you want to put it. That actually, if I can do it, and I'm of a certain age,
young black girls, young white girls,
absolutely, it doesn't matter, females,
females,
but you can do it. If I can do it, and I started off in a time where there weren't girls like me doing this work, really, and now it's so much more open,
because for me, I've been around the music game for quite a while, and I didn't really see a lot of Asian women in PR.
You wouldn't have.
I saw a lot of white
girls, absolutely.
White girls, white women in PR.
Yes,
to be honest, if you're
absolutely.
doing PR,
and it really.
I saw a few, and I saw a few black girls as well doing PR.
Yes.
But you're the first that I've come across that's been in the game and has been doing this for a long while.
Absolutely.
So you're setting a trend for them that they can go into this and make a success of it.
Yeah, and I think as long as you've kind of got look. All I say is that if you are going to get into PR, you can't be shy. That's the first thing. You cannot be shy because you have got to get on that pick up phones. You've got to get on the phone. You've got to connect with people. You've got to have banter.
You got to talk.
You've got to talk, and you can't be a shy and retiring kind of person. You've got to just be able to pick up that phone, get on the phone to someone, and literally
sell yourself.
Yeah, sell yourself, sell your client.
And connect with the client.
Absolutely.
My cousin said to me today, our radio suits you because you talk a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did radio myself. You can see that I like talking, so I'm the same.
You're perfect for it.
Yeah, I think so. I love radio. I've always loved radio. And I had a stint in radio, West Side radio. It was called West Sides. It's still running. It's in Southall.
Oh, fantastic.
And I did that many, many years ago as well.
Right.
I've kind of dabbled in a bit of everything, Ali, I have to say. But yeah, so here we are now. And that was 2018. And now we are 2020. Nearly.
Tell us about what's next for you. Any other projects that you've got going on that the listeners can... that you can tell us about now. If you can't tell us the full scope of it, just give us a snippet.
So now I do PR for, as you just heard, Penny Appeal, a very big international humanitarian charity. I work very much with the Muslim charity sector. So I also work with Human Appeal, who are, again, very similar to Penny Appeal, as well as Muslim Aid, actually. Again, all three Muslim charities kind of doing very good work. They're all very different. People seem to think that if I'm doing PR for all of them, how does that work? But actually, they all do very different work. As much as they all do very similar work, they also do very different projects. But I also do stuff with influencers, and I work with sports personalities. I work with athletes. I work with there's just so much.
You work with people that like you do people that do books and stuff like that, literature.
Absolutely, I've worked with people that have done books, have done actually a guy who's done a bit of poetry as well. Actually, last year as well, I worked with. So anyone.
Any names you want to pop up? A name?
Actually, it's a really good friend of mine. He's called Riaz, and he's got a poetry book called The Diary of a Muslim Nobody.
Oh,
actually,
brilliant.
Which is him expressing himself as a Muslim. But he's says, I'm a no one, but I want to express myself.
Yeah, we'll have to get him in.
I think you'll have to get him in. He's amazing, actually. He's done some really good, really lovely pieces.
And I know that you was on GMTV with Yusuf Islam. Is that right?
Yep. So we work with Peace Train as well, the charity, or Yusuf Islam's charity, which is all about hunger and peace.
Right.
And he's doing a big drive to get children who don't have, like, their parents are kind of under the poverty line, to get them breakfast in the morning, that make sure that every child gets a healthy breakfast before school.
Is that something that's starting next year, you said, right?
Yeah, so what happened was that they put the bill through this year, at the very tail end of this year.
There's some big names on it.
I think so. We've got people like, fingers crossed, because they want to get involved, but people like Idris Elba has already said they absolutely love this particular campaign and want to get behind it. Nadia Hussein. So we've got some nice names, inshallah, coming on board for next year. And then February is when we're going to kick off that campaign.
Fantastic.
It's gone through to Parliament. So hopefully we'll get something through.
Amazing. Naz, we're going to have to wrap up the show today.
It's already gone.
It's already gone an hour. It's been amazing having you on Revive FM today with me, Ali Kamara, Muslim Poet, on the Arts and Entertainment Show. We'll have to get you back in for a part.
Far too much to talk about.
I know, there's a lot to talk about. We'll have to get you back in for a part 2. Have you got anything happening next week, the week after? What's going on? Because I know you're always doing something.
Well, right now I'm working. I'm just trying to remember myself. So we're doing stuff. Again, it's all winter campaigns now with all the charities. Right. So there's a lot of stuff going on now with domestic abuse, loneliness, COVID, because it's COVID. Yeah. And these are things that are kind of very rife. It's a really unfortunate. Are very unfortunate stories, but it's things that we need to highlight and get out there. But I'm also working with a guy called Kuljit Bamra, who has just invented the world's first electronic tabla. So if anyone who doesn't know what a tabla is, it's an Indian drum. Right. And that's been 5 years in the making.
Fantastic.
So working with him as well.
Give us the details on that, and we really want to know about it. And we'd really
have to get Kuljit in, because he's
definitely
what he's done is invented something. You know what I mean? So this has been 5 years in the making.
100% we want to get him in. Definitely. What's his name again for the viewers?
Kuljit Bamra.
Kuljit Bamra for the listeners.
Amazing guy. He's a big composer and musician.
Fantastic. Naz, thanks for coming on the show. You've been on Revive FM 94.9 FM Dial. Me and Kamara, Muslim Poet, today on the Arts and Entertainment Show. Nazira Bemath has been in the studio. Sorry, Nazira Bemath has been in the studio. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming on. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Businesses